Hello and welcome, you guys, to State of the Division podcast. Now, this is going to be a brand new podcast, and with this being the inaugural episode, I figured I might as well give you guys a little intro into everything, and then we will go ahead and go straight into the State of the Division. So, my name is Kamikazevondoom, and beside me is my great friend Clint. We have both been covering the Division and the Division 2 as content creators on YouTube. And we have felt, or I have felt personally, I'll let Clint speak for himself, and I have felt personally that the state of the game is somewhat tailored to a specific audience. Not a lot of people like to watch the state of the game. It seems to be very cliquey with their developers, and a lot of times they just seem as if they don't really play the game. So, what me and my buddy Clint here have done is we decided that not only will we cover the Division 2 as content creators, we'll go ahead and start a podcast of our own, being the State of the Division. So, what we'll do is we'll combine what we see from the community and what we see from the state of the game every week with our own personal experiences as well, and give you guys our take on the state of the division. So this will be a weekly podcast, and basically we will go over what we have experienced through the past week, how we feel the community has been going. We will go over the state of the game. We will also spotlight a few videos and content creators that we have seen throughout the past week and try to give them some good exposure as well. This is not going to be a toxic-filled podcast, so don't expect any of that. But this should be a very informative and discussion-filled podcast. But besides that, that's my introduction to it. So I'll let you go at it, Clint, and let's go wreck some stuff while we do it.
Hey, buddy. Hey, everyone. I'm Clint Flairwoo. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, Kamikaze. It's a privilege to be here. I'm ecstatic to talk to you, not only about the game, just in general, two friends going at it, having a little bit of fun, and then ultimately delivering our feelings about the game to the community. We're in a bit of a dry squib at the minute. Title Update 4 it's a little bit flat. It's been flat for weeks, in my opinion. And for me, Christmas is just around the corner with Title Update 5. I've seen plenty of content creators delivering Berserker builds or Bloodsucker builds, Unbreakable, etc. And I'm not seeing that many deliver some fantastic skill builds, but I'm quietly confident that's coming because there's this huge change in the meta. And is that a good thing? I feel that's a real positive thing for the game. And it will bring back a lot of old school Division 1 players, PvE guys as well. I had so much fun with one-shot seekers in PvE or sticky bombs, I think it's going to add that extra bit of diversity to the game, which is sorely needed in Title Update 5.
So before we go into the state of the game that was last week, where they talked about TU5, how do you feel as a whole the game and the community and the meta has been right now with this whole shotgun thing? And like you said, it kind of sounds like the build diversity is lacking, which obviously it is. But what's the great way of kind of talking about it is like, wait, do you feel the skill builds are really needed right now? Is that what? How do you feel on that? Like with the current meta, is this the way to go? Just go straight skill builds, or how would you do it, Clint?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the beginning of the game, and we had the Woods build, that was the first build that, in my eyes, that came to light, which was primarily a DPS build with insane healing.
Right.
And
Yeah. That
again,
clutch
the crazy
vector.
clutch build that was, yeah, exactly, buddy. Yeah, that was the prime build consensus for most people in PvP. Um, so
Right.
that was the first meta. Then we're looking at good old uh, armor builds, where again, as previously said, you're looking at Bloodsucker, Unbreakable. I've seen 500k
Mm.
armor builds, and that seems to be the only way to go in the game in Title Update 4, and the same for Title Update 3. In all fairness, so what could the devs do to build up that diversity and bring people back into the game? And I think skills in the first game played a huge part of the game, huge part in
Right.
PvE.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
Even
if you
with
look
like
at,
the reclaimer healing.
yeah, of course, mate, of course, you just go back to the DZ in New York, and if you fight against a team with a D3, a reclaimer, striker build, and then it's just you've got that diversity. And I think even throughout all the patches, you did have that obviously that diversity, those options to real deliver some kick-ass builds, and they weren't just the one build, and that's only the only thing that's viable. As it stands currently, I feel that skill builds are underused, underutilized, and
Oh
definitely
yeah.
underpowered. And now
Definitely.
we're seeing a change, we're seeing a shift. And is that good for the game? I think it's great for the game, absolutely fantastic, because as you know,
Oh yeah.
as we've discussed, it brings diversity, and ultimately it brings people playing the game in different ways. We've got to remember this is an RPG shooter, so there's some huge RPG elements in the game that are underutilized because of their, as I said, underpowered. So
Right. Yeah.
now they're getting these well-deserved buffs. You can see people
Mm.
say, one-shot seekers, we don't want to see those. We don't want to see that. It's going to ruin the game. I
Yeah.
genuinely don't. I do not believe that is the case. Um, and as discussed, there is a huge amount of build of obviously diversity. Even now, you have options, and we look at again. How could you stop a one-shot shotgun build?
Right.
Obviously you
Now,
fight.
what
Yeah,
my big thing with that part, man, is there there is zero build diversity within the dark zone or within PvP
yeah, of course, yes.
as of right now. Because even going into the ODZ, I mean, normalized, you can see a little bit more diversity, but in the occupied dark zone, it seems like you're either running the super tank unbreakable, or you're running a shotgun build, which is either a one or two tap depending on how you build it. And I think with that and the amount of people that can get the Eagle Bearer and all that, which we'll talk about here in a bit, it seems the current state of the game and the current state of the community is at such a low point, because you have this one hit shotgun meta where no one really wants to go into the dark zone. You have a conflict game mode that isn't really popular with anybody, and it's just getting worse and worse. And all the PvP players are going back to either Div 1 or they're going on to a different video game, where all the PvE players aren't really seeing as much of the problems, because in PvE you can use whatever you want to a certain extent. Um, but with the whole TU5 part, we'll talk about uh, more of that in a second. Um, with Before we get into the state of the game, is there anything else we should cover? Let's
Yeah, I
see.
mean, yeah, I think you raised a very good point about PvP diversity and conflict as well. Of people not wanting to go into conflict for various different reasons, and as you say, there's that lack of build diversity in PvP. Whereas if you're not running a stupid amount of armor, just say 400k as a base, you're at a huge disadvantage. And at the same time,
Right.
you look at this, the shotgun meta, where regardless what you're running, you can be one tapped or two tapped quite easily. So it's one or the other, and And again, shotgun is that a cheesy way to run a build? I don't know. It's not something I'd run personally, but it's becoming more and more of a thing. And I feel that
Hmm.
bringing skills back into the fold is only going to add a ruckload of different types of builds, and not just for PVE, but look at PvP. Whereas now you can talk about synergizing perfect team builds in the ODZ because you can have that healer,
Exactly.
you can have that damage dealing through skills, and also you can have that awesome damage through your weapons and or crit. It brings you so many options. Whereas before, as it stands currently in Title Update 4, you are restricted. If you're not running anything other than high armor or shotgun pre-med build, then you are at a huge disadvantage.
Exactly. And then that makes everybody that doesn't like for me, for example, I don't feed into the meta. I don't drink the Kool-Aid, as people would say. I try to stay away from that meta, and I just try to find counters to that meta. But as everyone is well aware, with the amount of damage these shotguns do and how people can build them, it really doesn't matter how you really do anything with your armor because these shotguns are just going to one and two tap you anyways. So it kind of
Correct.
defeats the purpose of even PvPing because now it doesn't matter what you run, you're still going to die to somebody with a shotgun. So then that makes everyone else want to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, you're
Um,
spot on, buddy. Spot on.
Now, I think we might have beaten that dead horse with the whole state of the community and the current meta. Um, so let's go ahead and start recapping what the developers were talking about this past week. So during the state of the game, obviously everyone is aware now that TU5 will be coming on July 23rd. And that'll be for all people. The biggest thing I've heard from even people from my side of my channel and everything is that they were wondering if they would even get TU5 if they didn't have the year one pass. And title update 5 and the episode 1 release date is on the same day. However, title update 5 is for all people, regardless if you have the year one pass or not. Now, the title update 5 will include the discovery mode for the raid and matchmaking for that difficulty. Um, but as of right now, they're not going to drop the Eagle Bearer in any other mode except for the normal raid mode. I know that was something we were talking about earlier, Clint, about the Eagle Bearer.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
there's been a lot of controversy about the Eagle Bearer dropping from anything outside of the raid, about it dropping on like the future story mode or like heroic missions. Um, what was the biggest thing you were hearing about this Eagle Bearer controversy?
Yeah, it's a pretty tricky one, to be fair. I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, for me personally, I feel that the Eagle Bearer, which is the most sought after weapon in the game, should only drop in the most hardest content in the game, which is the raid. Um, and this comes from someone that's not done the raid yet, and not even completed it. So at the end of the day, it should be tied behind the most difficult content, and that is the raid in its current shape and form. So I don't see it being, or it should be available in heroic missions at all. So I think for anyone to say otherwise, I don't really understand the logic. In all fairness, I feel that
Right.
it's again, it's such an uber powerful weapon, and if you want that weapon, you have to do the raid. It's as simple as that. And again, if you look at the current community, there's a lot of players who who farm the raid to get that weapon. Imagine if it was just
Right.
off a random heroic boss drop. You can imagine the frustration, right? The countless time and hours they've put into acquire that particular weapon, and then someone gets it drop off the first boss. So
Right.
So I think it has to be tied behind the raid. Completely agree with that. But in terms of the gear sets, that's a different story. I don't know what your
Yes, and
feeling is, buddy.
that's a great that was another great part of discussion is the exclusive gear sets that you get from this raid, where everybody that's listening in on this, obviously, you just told them that you haven't even tried the raid, let alone completed it, and I have had the opportunity to play and beat the raid, and I do have the Eagle Bearer and all those gear sets, so I kind of can help clear that gap of information there, where you get these three gear sets and this one weapon that's exclusive to the raid, and you can only get it one try per week per character, and it's exclusive only to that raid. Where you have these three gear sets. You have Negotiator's Dilemma, you have the Tip of the Spear, and then you have the Aces and Eights. Now, like you were saying, with the weapon being exclusive to the raid, it's a great weapon and all this and that. I agree with that. Um, but I think me and you both played Destiny in the past, and we both did raids on like Destiny and Destiny 2 in the past. And comparably, the raid exclusive gear would give you some sort of bonus to that raid or to that activity or type of faction or type of enemy. It would give you some sort of specific bonus that would actually help you. Whereas these gear sets, some would argue that aces and eights would be the only full gear set you would use in the raid. Obviously, you use that for those sniper numbers. You'd use that for the aces and eights proc, and there you can actually use that in the raid and do fairly well. But the other two don't really seem like they're raid exclusive at all. They're just random gear sets that you get for doing the raid. Now, I remember in Destiny and Destiny 2 where these gear sets would be exclusive to the raid, and you would also get certain bonuses that would help you with the raid. And the weapons, I remember they would be raid exclusive, but you could use them, PvE, PvP, didn't really matter, but they were great weapons. So what we're seeing in the division is they're just now coming out with a raid, which is all good and fine, but the raid exclusive content is lacking at best. You have this weapon everyone and their mom wants, which can drop off of any boss, and it can also drop on the chest at the end. But those are the only ways. And for me, I feel like it should be that way. This whole discovery mode, I think, is a great tool to teach people kind of like you, where you haven't done the raid yet, but you might want to dabble in it a little bit. Why not do discovery mode? Have, some of your buddies go in there with you, show you the mechanics, show you the ins and outs, and then when all that's done, then you go back on normal and you beat it and you get your raid exclusive gear. And what a lot of people are wanting out of that is they're wanting the Eagle Bear and all these raid exclusive drops to come out of discovery mode and story mode and all these other easier modes where everyone else has had to grind the raid the normal way.
Yeah, of course, completely agree. And again, this comes from someone who's not done the raid. I feel it should be
Yeah.
tied behind the best way to do the raid, and the discovery mode is as you said, teach and a learn exercise. But yeah, you will get the gear sets, and as you've already claimed, that the gear sets are situational. They're not there. They're not going to make or break the game. I mean, if you just look at Division One, if they were going to hide gear sets, for example, like Nomad and Pred behind the raid, that's a different story. Because I guarantee that most people, especially PvPers, would go, "I want to get in the raid because I want these uber strong gear sets. They're going to make me so powerful in PvP." Now,
Yeah.
obviously, the gear sets that are available are situational. I don't think any of them are super strong. I think that the utility sets that provide support and, as I say, utility to builds and groups to synergize. Um, but obviously, the Eagle Bearer is a different beast in itself. And I agree, it should be tied behind that formula of this is how the raid's done, the proper way. In all fairness, do you agree
Yeah,
there should be matchmaking? What's your opinion on that, buddy?
matchmaking without a doubt. Yes, there should be matchmaking. Um, I'm surprised they didn't have matchmaking in the beginning. Um, but you do have to remember the the toxicity of the community lately. I do understand why they took it out, because you remember the whole VoIP argument way back in the day, where people don't want to hear random people just talk trash to them all the time in the dark zone and what have you.
Yes.
So they made it optional for you to toggle that in and out. And I think with that toxicity, they sort of put that as a precaution. They didn't want people to matchmake with random people because the community as a whole is not really that positive. A lot of people are negative towards each other, and they think they're better than everyone and what have you. And then you have all these personalities clashing. And then what if I only need Boomer and you're trying to do a whole raid, and then right after we kill Boomer, I leave, and then you have to
Yeah.
matchmake again? Or what if, I don't like somebody in the team and then I leave or you leave, or, there's so many what ifs with
Yes, of
matchmaking
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where everyone's intentions are there, but in reality, the community as a whole is so toxic to each other that it's really hard for a developer to justify, yeah, let's do matchmaking, because you're going to hear so much backlash about people being toxic to each other. And how, I remember in Napalm production site in Division 1, you could matchmake, was it heroic? Yeah, I believe it was heroic then too, was the hardest. And to beat that mission, you had to get in the elevator at the end of the map. But a lot of people, if say you help kill the boss and then all you have to do is run back to the elevator to get that clear, a lot of people would kick the remaining agents after they helped them kill that boss and then just get the clear for themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just like this like toxic mentality where it was kind of bleeding over into this game. And I see why they probably tried to keep matchmaking out of it, but if people are going to be toxic, you can't really help that. You kind of you have to help out the whole community and just hope that they return with some positivity. Um, but uh, yeah, I think it's a great idea, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they initially said it weren't going to happen. A few state of the games, obviously, later said it weren't going to happen, and I think they've realised, due to obviously demand, that it's a necessity. But I've got to give them kudos where it's due, and they've put out the teach and learn exercise. I think that's a great way to do it, and that should have been introduced from the beginning.
Right, the
And
discovery mode. Right,
yeah, of
exactly.
course, yeah, and this the thing. This is the first step, and this gives agents, solo players, opportunity to sample it within a match-made group and go, hang on, I can deal this, I can do it, and that
Exactly.
gives them the impetus to maybe join a clan, maybe matchmate, obviously speak to other agents. It just gives people options, and I think that's the prime achiever um, in the discovery mode, which again, I'm surprised it weren't there from the beginning. Really needed to happen.
Yeah, another thing that makes me think about why they turn matchmaking on is the exclusive content, being the Eagle Bearer and the gear sets, where these people, whether the developers like it or not, they can't get an 8-man team together on the same time, same day, ever. So it kind of ruins that whole part of the game for those people that they just can't find people to play with. So adding this
Yeah.
matchmaking, it'll help them because they're making this gear exclusive. And if you're going to do that, you might as well make it to where anybody can play that part of the game, because if not, you're going to make all those people want to leave. Let's go back to this state of the game here. So that was the Eagle Bearer part. Now remember, on the 23rd, the year one pass holders will have the first part of the expedition and the two main missions, and also two new classified assignments. Now the classified assignments look like this thing right here. They don't really give you too much. They give you more insight on the lore, and then they give you some cool exclusive backpack trophies, but nothing too crazy, nevertheless. Now, my next part I wanted to talk to you about is the PTS. Now, what I just read was year one pass holders will have this on the 23rd. Now, if you have a PC and you download the PTS for free, all PC players with the PTS were able to play this year one year pass content uh, before anyone else for free. Now, obviously, this striked like a big controversy with the community, and uh, yeah, what have you been hearing about that, man? Because I've been hearing a lot of clash with other content creators making videos on how the year one pass is, it was just a waste of money, that you could just have the PTS and get it for free and all this. What have you been hearing about all that?
A lot of negativity, in all fairness. I mean, there's been, as you said, there's been plenty of content creators producing content on this particular topic. And it is, I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's something that's going to be with us for a long time yet. So there has to be some kind of benefit for you and pass holders. We've all invested into the season pass because, again, we like the division. We did the same with Div 1. We followed suit into Div 2 because of the brand, the game. And ultimately, some of us have had faith in the devs to make sure they produce some great content.
Hmm.
So with the year one pass, it's a tricky one. Now, how do I feel about the PC PTS players getting early access? Yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all. I don't feel it's something that should have been in the PTS full stop. Um, PTS, as far as I'm concerned, and I share this sentiment with a lot of people. You're there to test skills, builds, weapons, talents, and not so much a level or levels that have already been done and all ready to go. There's no issues with them. Regardless whether it be a PTS, a demo, or a trial, whatever that may be. So I feel that massive, yeah, I do feel they've let people down by doing so. I'm not going to lose much sleep over it because it's out of my control. It's a non-controllable. So it is frustrating, and I hope Massive respond by doing something. I don't think we're going to get anything for free, but I do hope they learn from next time. If they are going to do a PTS on Title Update 6 or 7 or whatever, then content that's hidden behind a paywall, effectively, early access paywall, is restricted to people who have paid for that content to get it first. Whether it be a PTS or not, in all fairness. So I feel they've I don't say that they've been dishonest. I just feel they've not really thought out about the decision that they put into place, and where it's
Right.
yeah, it's affected a lot of agents. Given this current update, which has just made more and more people frustrated, given the lack of diversity and shotgun meta. So it's created a lot of negativity within the community. So for this to happen as well, it's just another, it's another kick in the shins, isn't it? So
Yeah, it really is.
generally hope, yeah, I generally hope it is. If we're talking about raid, teach and learn, and again, hopefully this lesson has been teach and learn to Massive, to be fair, and they take this, this contribution from content creators like yourself, myself, and tons of other guys who have done videos on it, that it doesn't need to happen again. It can't happen again.
Right. I agree. Um, and I think that's well, we could beat the PTS horse all day. Now the continuing with that, that was for the 23rd for the year one pass holders. Now the non-year one pass holders, they will get that content being the first part of the expedition, the two new main missions, and the two classified assignments. They'll get all that on the 30th, and then all the year one pass holders will get the second part to the expedition. Now, the mastery system they were talking about, that's not going to launch for a while now. Um, to expand on that, the mastery system is, think of it like kind of like Underground, where you're doing a PvE type game mode, and the better you are, the more score you get, and the higher your score, the better rewards you'll get. So think of it kind of like that, to where it's going to be kind of like a competitive uh, PVE type of thing where you get to go in there with all your buddies, try to see who gets the highest score and the best rewards. And apparently, they're supposed to have some new stuff come with that as well. So I'm probably hoping that they've delayed that because they're trying to work out what kind of gear they want to drop with it. The riot foam grenade radius will be increased from 2 to 3 meters. And then we start talking about skills. Now, the skill cooldown, they did admit, will go as low as 3 seconds on certain skills. And for everyone wondering about Seeker Mines, they said you could get your Seeker Mines down to 5-second cooldowns, starting in Title Update 5. Now, they are completely overhauling the skills for the most part with different damages, different cooldowns for everything. And when the patch actually goes live, we'll be able to go through it and talk more about that line by line.
For
Um,
sure.
Now, with the skills, man, I know yourself on your channel, especially, you do a lot of skill-based stuff, especially in Div 1. Um, when you were hearing about this title update 5, I know you were talking about it earlier. This must have been like a huge like excitement. The different ways that skills are going to change with the build diversities and how powerful the skills are going to be. I mean, it just seems like a really good thing, huh?
Yes, yes, fella. It's a step in the right direction. As you know, as I said earlier in the cast, this is an RPG shooter, so this is not just a run and gun game. Whereas your weapon does all the talking. There's so many more elements and skills within the game that make the title unique. Don't get me wrong, and I just feel that we're at a stage now where Title Update 5 is going to reintroduce skills as the meta. So, and that's going to bring so many new videos and so many new concepts, not just from me, but from your good self. I have seen content creators shift their focus, and I've seen many guys who rely on at least 11 defensive stats in a video, and yeah, we're talking Unbreakable, we're talking Bloodsucker, so on, so on. And then these guys now are talking about skills and bringing out skill builds in anticipation of Title Update 5. Which is only a good thing because it will bring that diversity, which the game sorely lacks. And to answer a question, we're talking about shotgun meta and a skill build meta, and there will be quite a few people watching this will say, "I don't want to be a skill build guy. It's not how I play. It's not how I roll. I prefer my skills in weapon skills to do all the talking, and skills are there to complement the agent as opposed to buff the agent." And the answer I've got for that is that there will be ways and means around it. It's all about using your noggin, all about using your knowledge of the game to create builds that are anti-skill builds.
Right.
We're talking, yeah, we're talking hazard protection, we're talking EMP pulse, All these are going to
Yeah.
be now hugely viable within the Division 2, whereas before they weren't. You know, there's not many uh, builds out there. If you Google, hazard protection builds, you'll find half a dozen. You know, if you're going to talk about builds based on Bloodsucker, you will find hundreds. Unbreakable,
Yeah.
hundreds, so on, so on. So it's going to become a big thing. And I've seen a few guys do videos based on hazard protection recently. I've seen a great one from LDB Gaming, a great one from Patrick Wolf, but I have seen some people that don't really venture into the skill side of things that have done now, and one of them is MacGun17. Whose builds are tip top. Who's a great PC content creator, and this video that he put out there was really good, and he was embracing the new meta, and the content of the video was so informative, and it gave us skill build fellas the chance to say, hang about, there's it's time for us to shine. It's time for us to have that diversity, but at the same time, that Unbreakable, Bloodsucker, Berserker, you go on and on, these talents will still be hugely powerful. That's the key.
Yes. Yeah.
The one thing for me personally is I don't want to see skills become so OP that it renders everything else useless. Because what is the
Right.
point in that? There's just no point whatsoever, and I just want them to be brought up in line that the game is as balanced as it can be in the current state. As it
Yeah.
stands at the minute, it isn't. It's PvP is nowhere near as much fun as it should be. And you know me from good old Div 1. I mean, I spent hours and hours in the dark zone, and in conflict. I used to love it because you can have that diversity, those different types of builds, whereas as it stands, you can't do that. So skill
Right.
builds are a great way to improve the current meta and the current state of the game, because again, that diversity is there. And Gun 17, great video. Our skills getting buffed. Great demonstration. The guy's done a top job, and again, it just gives me the impetus to kick on and go. I've got some great videos in store, on every skill, and that's what I want to do. And again, just to see other content creators not mimic that, but just embrace the skills that are going to be introduced and going to be more powerful. That can only mean good things for the game.
Exactly. And then you can do like hybrids where you could do, you know, I'm gonna be a huge tank guy with a whole bunch of armor, but I'm gonna have a really nice, whether it be a firefly or like a hive build or a drone build or seeker build, what have you. You can do these hybrids where like in Div 1 you spec all into damage, you're basically a glass cannon, but your skill power was so high that you could heal up rapidly and really make it fun to play. I
Of
think
course,
that's where people aren't really they're not really thinking too much about. They're too busy thinking about, oh, I could one hit you with this, one hit you with that. And in reality, during that PTS, they were testing it, and they were testing it on certain builds. So it's not going to be like that for everybody. And they also stated that they're working and fine tuning the PvP modifiers for that because the damage was that outrageous. So it's not going to be as OP as it looked like on the PTS, but it is going to be a huge step in the right direction for build diversity and skill builds in general. Because now you're going to have, like I was saying, you could have a glass cannon healer, or you could have a tank skill guy, or there's going to be numerous ways you could do it. And I think once people understand that, when the patch goes live, it won't be as much negativity. I think it'll make for a great time. The McGuns 17 video, I believe I saw that as well, where he was going through all the differences for TU5. I think even with them doing little tweaks from the PTS to the actual launch of TU5, I think that still is a great video to watch, and we will have that video and that content creator in our description below as a spotlighted video and individual. Um, as far as TU5 is concerned, I think we'll be able to do like a whole episode just on TU5 when that launches, because I'm sure there will be a lot of information we're missing. Um, but besides that, the rest of the state of the game, there will be another apparel event starting with TU5. It's going to be a timed event. I'm sure it'll have a couple masks. It'll probably have another outfit or two, and then that's probably about it. Um, before we go, I wanted to touch up on that last part, and that's uh, customizing your character, getting gear, getting actual like apparel, and getting the masks and hunters and stuff like that. Um, I personally feel that they haven't done enough yet. That within a week you could have got all the gear skins. Let's see, because even on different characters you can still have them all. I mean, there's not even 20 gear skins, and that's a problem. So you're already limiting the customize, the customizable things right there. And then the weapon skins are okay, but you can't even match these with your gear even if you wanted to. Like for instance, this weapon skin is Manhunt and it has like a cool Manhunt logo on it. Why can't there be a Manhunt gear skin? Something like that. Like I get these apparel events and everything, but why can't they give us more? Yeah, exactly. Apparel events. Why
Yeah.
can't they give us more from it? Like what do you think they're gonna do with that, man?
Yeah, it's. I think it's still quite early in the game's infancy. We're talking. It's been in now just over 4 months, if I recall.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, hopefully, hopefully behind closed doors they've got some great ideas. And the one thing I've touched on in the video about a month ago was regarding the skill vanity mods, whereas not many people know what they are, and it's highly frustrating because it's been there since day one as like an FX mod. They changed the word in the last update to skill vanity mods, and basically these were just free if you pre-ordered and purchased the Ultimate Edition. So with these skill vanity mods, it means like your seeker mines or your turrets will deliver an effect, like a skill effect, and that skill effect being like a Roman candle firework. Um,
Right.
and yeah, the stuff like that. Whereas as simple as it may sound, it's such a little tool to add on that will only benefit your playing experience. And again, touching with the current set of apparel, which in my opinion is quite limited at present. And I hope that they do add new quality bits and bobs into it. I don't know if you recollect from the first game, there was a big thing all over YouTube for a few months regarding new outfits like the Assassin's Creed outfit, like Ezio,
Right.
it was a bunny outfit, a clown outfit, all this kind of stuff. And as stupid as it may sound, stuff like that, I just think it'd be a hell of a lot of fun, And again,
Yeah.
adding these into
I
the game
agree.
because at the minute characters look kind of generic and kind of boring. I
Yes.
get the conditions that we're playing in. I get the atmosphere. I can currently buy into that, but it's a video game. It's a fun game, and these kind of elements added in. I'd happily play a few pound to have a bunny skin because I'd
Exactly.
love to kill someone with a seeker mine, blow them up if they're running a shotgun build with pre-med, and blow them up, and then I'll run over them and emote with a good old rabbit outfit skin. You know what I mean? It just
Mhm.
adds that fun to the game. Um, so having that in the game is a good thing. And as I said earlier, hopefully they've got something in the loop or in the works that they can add to it and build upon because I think they're missing a trick. I genuinely do because again they are very discoloured, quite boring, ordinary. There's a lack of variety. And as I say, not just with gear, we're talking weapon skins as well. So I do
Yeah.
hope that they do fix these in time. And I'll be honest, they may be. behind a paywall. Not great, not ideal, but again, if it's priced accordingly, then yeah, I'll happily purchase the odd bit here and there.
Or like in Div 1, man. So they did apparel events in Div 1, but when you actually finished them, you got like a Santa Claus outfit.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
no one's running around here in a Santa Claus outfit, but you could do that in New York, no problem. Or, any sort of outfit. With this being DC, you could even dress people up, like Richard Nixon, like JFK, like, whoever. And
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they don't even they don't even do that where you could actually make a lot of fun with this. But even while you were talking about that, I went down to the base of ops and looked at my hunter masks. And even like the hunter masks are, I did all those and I got the keys and I opened up the box and then that was it. There was nothing left. It's
Yeah.
it's just done. And I wish there was, more with that. Like I don't know the story behind these masks. I don't know the story behind the hunters. Like all I know is I had to go to a certain spot, shoot something, and I got a mask for it. I mean, there's a lot of lacking details here, and I think that the hunters alone, you could have so much cool, like special missions or really cool lore coming out of that because the hunters are such a big mystery. And instead of capitalizing on that, they kind of just threw all of it at us at once and said, "There you go," and then they kind of just forgot about it. I
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
really
exactly.
hope they do something with these apparel events. I mean, I haven't changed my characters in well over 2 months, and the game's only been out 4, so I mean,
Yes.
it's been a big problem. But all
Yeah.
right, you guys.
I just hope. Yeah. I mean, just on that, just to finalize that, we just look at the mask in Div One. They were really cool, and they were worth
Mhm.
earning, in my opinion. And
Yes,
I think if you just compare them to Div Two, and they're a different level completely. The mask, if you look at the mask I'm wearing now, it is just a generic black mask with a little bit of brown paint on.
hmm
If you look at the ones comparing Div One, a clown mask, piggy mask, I mean, they were super cool,
they
and
were very
yeah,
detailed.
exactly, exactly. And I was hoping that I've seen many tweets about they have learned so much from the first game. So I was hoping they'd learn a little bit more in terms of the cosmetics and the vanity items and the mask being a prime area where they need to invest a bit of time and a bit of love to make sure
Right.
these elements in the game are actually quite fun and quite obtainable and something you want to wear. So that's my two pennies on that anyway.
Oh, I completely agree, man. Completely agree. I think the mask and the apparel is all lacking, but then again, in Div 1, it kind of lacked there until year 2, year 3. Especially with 1.8 was when they really got their stuff together and they started doing those global events, which had the really cool masks and all that. I mean, there's so much that they could do with this game, and that's why I hope we can help build the community with these podcasts and get everyone on the same page because it's starting to dwindle, and once it's gone, it's gone. Not a lot of people are going to come back, so I really hope that things change here and
Yeah,
at a very
exactly.
fast pace.
Exactly, buddy. It's like part of the reason why I played Div One for so long, and I played it from beta up until the end. Well, still going, but up until Div Two, the prime reason was the PvP. Now,
Exactly.
I don't, as it stands today, I do not see myself playing PvP in Div Two in 3 years' time. I genuinely don't. So there has to be change, and hopefully the game continues to evolve. But at the same time, I don't feel that the community will have the same faith as they had in Div 1 that they will for Div 2 because it's the same issues that arise time and time again. So the
hmm
sooner they nail it, and I think TU5 is a great step in the right direction. And we'll talk about what happens next in the next podcast or one coming soon. But
Yeah.
TU6, you know what I mean? There's so many options where they can take this, and I just hope behind closed doors they've got some great ideas into how to evolve the franchise. And balance weapons, gear, and talents.
I agree completely. Now, with this being the first episode and it already being Tuesday, I believe the state of the game is on Wednesday, so we might try to squeeze in another episode at the end of the week. But if not, we'll try to make this a weekly thing. So for everyone tuning in, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is our very first episode with me and Mr. Clint Flairwoo. Um, don't, like always, if you guys want to expand this discussion in any way at all, shoot us some questions in the comments below. If they're great questions and discussion pieces, we will use them in the next episode. So be mindful of that. And besides that, the spotlight video of the week and content creator is going to McGuns17. So we'll have his video and his channel linked in the description below. I myself have not checked it out yet, but I will after Clint telling me about it. I am actually looking forward to the skill builds and how they are reworking the skills in general. But like you said, I just hope they're not too OP. Now, with that all being said, you guys, I am Kamikazevondoom, and right here in front of me is the legend Clint Flairwoo. And
Woo!
hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, you guys.
Guys, thank you. Peace.